From ConnectBooster, I'm Ryan Goodman. Today, I have the distinct pleasure of talking to Jerry Koutavas, president of the ASCII Group. Those of you familiar with the association know that he and his team have done and are doing some amazing things for the MSP community, especially around education and member benefits. Here's what Jerry had to say.
Our market is booming, and we're blessed to be in an industry that we can actually do what we're doing, and technology is sort of the fabric that holds the economy and the acceleration to go forward. And so we're going to see MSPs coming out of this with stronger infrastructure, better portfolios in terms of services that they're providing the end user. And what that is going to equate to is a better MSP for our industry.
Jerry, thanks for joining us today. I know you have a hectic schedule, as always, so I really do appreciate you taking the time out of your day to chat with us here at ConnectBooster.
Absolutely, Ryan. Really appreciate you giving me the opportunity to speak with you.
You bet, man. So we're going to dig into really asking you a bunch of questions around, your observations inside of the channel, especially this year. It's been really flipped on its head. We'd also like to learn more about the ASCII Group as well, and we will certainly get into that. But I have some other questions prior to that I'd love to get out of the way, and a couple of basics. I'd love to have you just give us a 100,000-foot view of what ASCII is, as well as where people can find your organization online.
Sure. Listen, I appreciate that. So just kind of getting the housekeeping things out of the way, you can go to ASCII.com, ASCII.com, to basically get any information related to the company. But behind the scenes, we're just this unique organization that tries to look at the market for the MSPs. And, prior to that, obviously, the VARs and the resellers on where is there roadblocks when it comes to your business becoming efficient and being smooth and effective. And we just look at those areas, those pain points, and go, okay, well, let's try to do something here. Let's try to either provide a service, a alliance with a company that can help smooth out the rough edges, and give the MSPs sort of the tools to basically operate more effectively.
Yeah.
And it's a big space if you think about it. Like, okay, well, there's so many areas that you could have issues in, but we try to target the key ones, marketing, business development, purchasing, quoting, things of that nature. But we're really a sort of like a silent employee for the MSPs, where they can go, boy, I really wish that we could do this. And they go to that employee and go, why don't you do it? And we do it.
Yeah.
So we're a great resource.
That's a cool perspective, actually, that an extension of the MSP and the service provider. I like that.
Absolutely.
And I know a lot of people are going to be, familiar with the ASCII Group. I mean, you guys are a longstanding organization, and those that aren't need to go check them out. But I'd also love to learn just a little bit more about how the association itself got started. I mean, you guys have been in the channel a heck of a long time.
Sure. Yeah. I think we were probably over 35 years at this point. And Alan Weinberger, who's still involved, who's the founder of the ASCII Group, this all really came out based on some fellow IT providers working together saying, look, we need to group together to form an alliance to get better pricing and better concessions. And this is, 35 years ago.
Yeah.
And that sort of idea has continued. Now, we don't simply look at us from an ASCII Group perspective and go, okay, we're all about trying to drive price down. It's way more than that. So if we can help people market more effectively, if we can help people gain access to tools so their admins can actually work more, from an efficiency standpoint. So, but Alan started the company, and he's was well connected back then, and we still have, I believe, 2 to 3 original ASCII members today that are part of the group. So it's a good story.
That's cool. And from what I understand, I saw an email come across my bow just to give a little bit of insight into some of those benefits. It was like a telehealth offering, which I mean, it's cool that you guys are digging in and looking at problems. I mean, medical. I mean, everyone. That's a hot topic, man. I mean,
I know
we're in election year. This is.
I know, it's crazy. So we, I mean, I can't get into some of the things we're working on beyond that, but we are connected to all the key players in that space right now.
That's cool.
And we're trying to solve big problems.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes when you try to solve big problems, even the smaller problems that you solve are huge.
Yeah.
And so this telehealth program is providing MSPs, their 1099s, their employees, and their families zero out-of-pocket telehealth service nationwide with U.S.-based certified state physicians who can actually write prescriptions. So, I got 3 kids in my family. Son wakes up and looks like he has pink eye. I know it's pink eye, but it's like, okay, well, we got to go to the Minute Clinic.
Yeah.
Here's $40.
Yep.
Let me get my prescription, and that's it. With this, they can just talk to the doctor on their phone or online securely. They can assess it. They can get the prescription and $0.
Yeah, I mean, super cool. And, that's one example of what's going on with the organization and the focus and the benefits that you guys are driving towards all of these service providers. Super cool. I'm going to shift directions on you just a minute. I'd love to learn just a little bit because you've been with ASCII a long time, but what brought you into the channel? Where did you start your career and where did it intersect with where we all live, work, and play today?
Oh my God, Ryan. I'll try to keep this brief because it could go down a rabbit hole. Okay. So I love technology. I was one of those people that stayed after school in the computer lab and learned how to do machine language on a TRS-80.
Cool.
And so I was with people that were way smarter than me. And I just loved computers back then. And once I graduated high school, I'm like, okay, I'm going to go into the computer field. I'm going to learn COBOL and Pascal and all this other stuff. And at one particular point, at that sort of time, if you will, it was more along the lines of like, if you want to be in the club, you kind of have to learn it yourself. Okay. So here's the book. You kind of have to learn it. Okay. Right. And so for me, I needed to be taught. And so at that particular point, I was like, 2 years in, I'm like, you know what? This is not, I'm not going to be able to deal with this. I'll stop here at Pascal and then get right into marketing.
Yeah.
And so I switched from computers to marketing. Fast forward, got a marketing job with Keebler cookies.
Way.
Yeah. And,
that's interesting.
Yeah. As a side note, there's somebody else in the channel that also worked for Keebler that you know of as well. And his first name begins with Brian.
You're kidding me.
No.
Brian Sherman worked. Oh, you
correct.
No way.
Correct. So there's 2 large elves that run around in our industry at this point. Okay. So, but that was a completely different industry, but I got to understand merchandising and what have you. And then I hopped and got a job, which was really cool in the software industry. Yeah. And I worked for a company that had a software product that crunched all the business phone numbers and consumer numbers down on CD. And I was there a year, and the company got acquired. Right at the end of my year, they said, how can we work with the VAR market?
Interesting.
And everyone's like, VARs, what is a VAR?
Right.
I was like, what's going on? And at that particular point, through a connection that I had there at that company, I met with the ASCII team at a Christmas party, and an opening came available. And they said, well, listen, why don't we talk to that guy, Jerry, that we met at the Christmas party? And 24 years later,
Here we are.
it's a wild. It's life is definitely really wild. But going back, and then I'll kind of stop. Is that my love of computers and technology is something that our community gets the benefit of, because I was like one of the first people to see a firewall. You know what I mean? And stuff like that. So we really kind of dig at, okay, is this technology going to be great for MSPs?
Yeah.
Is there a market for it? And obviously you guys have a great solution, so you guys know what we're talking about. So.
Oh, that's awesome. Thanks for the history, man. That was super cool. How many people know that? I mean, we're uncovering like,
I know there's some
cool
strange
stuff, man.
out there.
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Thanks for sharing. Really shifting now to present day. The pandemic has really thrown a grenade. I mean, for lack of a better term, really thrown a grenade in the middle of channel events, for all of us, whether it be partners, vendors, associations. What is your team doing, and what have you done to pivot to continue on your mission?
Yeah, so it's, everybody in the event industry, just to give you a stat, we have a deal with United Airlines where they're giving our members corporate access to benefits and privileges. Wow. I just talked to one of their people, and he told me that the airline flights are down 96%.
Wow.
And so just to put everything in perspective, 96%. And so the event industry, all this is tied together because the event industry just drives so much business for our country that a lot of people don't realize the effect of that. And so when the pandemic happened, we pulled off a great event, Ryan. It was in Long Beach, California. During the State of the Union, Trump mentioned COVID, but nobody kind of like,
right.
It was like, nobody knows, And we were just thinking like, okay, we're going to be just simply a rocket ship. Vendors are coming up to us saying, this was a great event. You guys are just going to kill it this year. The energy was there. The economy was running. It was booming. And then obviously this all took place. So it took us, honestly, some time to really absorb it. And so, I personally thought like, okay, is this real?
Right.
And then you go through all the data points that people were sharing, and you don't know, like, okay, is this right? There was so much disinformation out there that if you're an event planner, you really kind of didn't know, like, what's going on. But at a corporate level, like Cisco, Microsoft, Google, they're just saying, listen, we're canceling all events. That's it. Done. So once we got out of the fetal position and said, okay, let's really assess this, we said, look, we can't do this. There's just no way. The confidence is not there. Vendors basically have travel policies that are restricting them from moving even locally within their state.
Right.
It's just a complete mess. And so we sat back and said, okay, let's just cancel the events. We canceled them. And we did a lot in that time. We did a lot of webinars, come up with some creative things. You were involved in one.
Yeah.
I'll call MSP Power Lunch. And at that particular point, it was all experimental. Let's just try to get something out there, provide some value to the community. And at that point, everybody was doing it. It was just like this mad rush of content coming online. But we kind of sat back during that time and heard feedback from a lot of the vendors and a lot of the MSPs about virtual events, what they like about them, what they don't like about them. And we kind of just took all of that in and waited. We were probably one of the last companies to actually punch out like an actual virtual event. And that process and timing has yielded benefits for us. So now today, we're punching out 7 virtual events, completely different than anything in the marketplace. And you're not simply, watching TV more or less with most of these platforms. You're actually talking to your table mates virtually and it's really slick. So we did pivot. We're doing well. We sold out of all the events this year for virtual, which
That's
a lot
awesome.
of people are struggling with.
Yeah, heck yeah.
But we are looking forward to 2021. So we already have our plans in place, and we're looking forward to it.
Yeah. I know our team was at last week. You guys had
Yeah.
a virtual event and feedback was really good. So I do think you're exactly right. You did kind of benefit from being able to take a look back, hindsight 2020, gather that feedback and launch on the right foot. So. Hey guys, Ryan here for a quick break from our show. We want to thank Jerry Koutavas, president of the ASCII Group, for joining us on today's episode. You can find out more about the association on their website, ASCII.com. Now, this wouldn't be an ad break without running some ads, so I'd like to talk to you about our product, ConnectBooster. ConnectBooster is the premier accounts receivable management and payment automation tool for the channel. When our partners invoice and bill their clients, ConnectBooster automates the payment, automates the accounting, and gives 24/7, 365 visibility into end clients so they can see current invoices, past invoices, auto-pay settings, securely stored checking, credit card data, and so much more. We all know it's hard enough to get in the door of a prospect. It's hard enough to close the deal. It shouldn't be hard to accept their money when the sale is made. If your business isn't one of the thousands that is getting paid faster with ConnectBooster, reach out to us at ConnectBooster.com to learn more how you can automate your cash flow. Before we get back to the show, we want to let you know all the ways you can find us online. Visit our website, ConnectBooster.com/podcast, to listen to new episodes before they air on the podcast network. If you'd rather wait, our episodes are available on iTunes, Spotify, Google, and really anywhere you can listen to podcasts. So search ConnectBooster on your favorite platform and subscribe to get notified when there's a new episode. If you have suggestions for future episodes or want to be a guest on the podcast, please email us at podcast@connectbooster.com or send us a message on Facebook or Twitter, and we'll point you in the right direction. Lastly, if you like the show, leave us a review on iTunes and tell us why you like it. Thanks for listening to the Confessions of an IT Business Owner. We'll get back to the podcast and talk to you soon. So another pivot. I keep pivoting, like I won't keep you in one place too long. But what have you got? You've touched on this a little bit, I guess. It's a little bit of a throwback to earlier in the conversation, but you've obviously seen a lot of change in the channel. I know we don't have time for a chronological order, but what are a couple of the big inflection points that you've seen even in the last 5-10 years that really stand out in your mind as game changers?
Right. Well, I'll try to, I won't give you the sort of like the canned answer, you know what I mean, that everybody will give. I'll try to give you something a little bit different. So what I think is interesting is what's happening right now, today. So our industry is booming. And so regardless of COVID, and obviously there's some MSPs are impacted more because maybe they're vertically focused on certain areas. But our market is booming, and we're blessed to be in an industry that we can actually do what we're doing. And technology is sort of the fabric that holds the economy and the acceleration to go forward. And so we're going to see MSPs coming out of this with stronger infrastructure, better portfolios in terms of services that they're providing the end user. And what that is going to equate to is a better MSP for our industry. So, if you look back at maybe it was last year at some time, you had MSPs that were getting hacked and a lot of things that were taking place. And that put sort of like this stigma on the MSP community where most end users didn't even know what an MSP meant. And then all of a sudden you're hearing in the news cycles that, yeah, exactly. Oh, this is what this company does. Oh. Well, I think that we're definitely going to see a change in direction on how businesses look at us as and I don't want to disrespect the term, but we're essential responders in a sense. So we're there to help businesses, get up and running, maintain uptime, and be there for them. So, I think this is huge. I think this, as much as it's hurting the economy, as much as we're going through pain right now, and everybody is, this for our industry is going to propel us forward. So I really think that this is going to be big when we come out of it.
That's cool. Love that perspective. As president of ASCII, you've worked with a lot of high profile people, a couple, names that come off the top of my mind, Frank Abagnale, and that whole story, the former White House CIO, Teresa Payton. Any cool stories that you can tell about them that are you can disclose and not go to jail, but at the same time, can share that might be lesser known?
Right. Well, he probably won't be too upset about this because I thought it was kind of comical. I don't want to make sure I get this right. So we're in the hallway, and this is with Frank Abagnale, who we're still working with, and he's speaking at our virtual events, and he's doing a great job. And the guy is, he's kind of an amazing human being, interesting guy. So we're in the hallway one time, and I don't know what I said. Something I was like, he has this look, like a lot of these speakers that go on the circuit, just like Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs had a look, turtleneck, black turtleneck jeans and stuff like that, whatever. Okay?
Like a trademark look.
Facebook, Zuckerberg has the same thing. Okay, Zuckerberg. So with Abagnale, he's like dressed to the nines, like suit, hanky, all this other stuff. And I know I'm going to butcher this story, but I'll tell you just the gut of it. So he forgot his hanky somewhere, and he borrowed someone's panties somehow and used it to make it look like a handkerchief out of his pocket. Great. Yeah, and I was just like laughing, and I don't know if it was like when he was speaking, or he was just like he had to go somewhere formal, had to do something to dress up.
Yeah,
but like he told me that, and I was like, man, I really got to have a drink with this guy, So. And he's down to earth, but he's a great guy.
Oh, that's cool. Hey, you delivered. That was perfect. That's exactly what we were looking for. That's hilarious. So here's a question I love to ask everyone that comes on the podcast. I always get some really interesting answers. If you were to talk to your younger self, let's say 15, 20 years ago, or let's say when you were in your early 20s, what advice would you give to yourself through all the experiences that you've had now in life, professionally and personally?
I mean, I don't know. I think that, life kind of makes you who you are, like through the experiences of life. And I just think that these terms might be odd, but you kind of like want to relish the curveballs in life. And so you get a curveball, and it doesn't matter if it's personal, with your career, anything. You just have to look at it and just go, okay, let's just kind of like go through it and grind through it. It's going to make you a better person. So, now, I look at this and stuff like say, and we're mature now, when curveballs happen, you're like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Bring it. And I'll tell you just a quick thing is I remember a new employee for us, okay? And when you do events, you have to realize that nothing is going to be perfect, okay? Regardless if you do virtual or real events. And so we've seen it all. We've seen like tornadoes take out the entire section where we had the hotel. We've had altercations with people that come into our event that shouldn't be there.
Right.
Stuff happens. And so at one of the events, the person that was running it came over to me and goes, oh, we got a major problem. This is what's going on. And I just looked there. I was like, yeah, okay. It's not much. You know what I mean? It's like,
just deal.
Right. So you build up, like when you start going through, if you get as many curveballs in life that everybody has and everybody gets them, okay? is that you build up this scar tissue
Yeah.
where it's sort of like you get a curveball, you're like, whatever. It doesn't matter. Like, okay, so I think that's the biggest thing, is that when you're young, you kind of like really take this stuff and it kind of could really throw you off.
Sure.
But looking back, it's almost like, okay, accept it, absorb it, deal with it, and go. So
I love that, man. That's great advice. Wish I would have had that advice early on.
me too, man.
Well, cool, man. That's great. I really appreciate, number one, we always love your events, and certainly love the value that you're bringing to the community. And you guys are loved inside of the community. And I really appreciate, again, you taking time out of the day and maybe giving us a little bit of that inside peek about you, where you came from, some of the cool stuff you're working on, as well as Frank's. That was great. That was great. That made the whole show, man. I mean,
well, he's a character, man. He's a funny guy. When he said that, I was like, holy smokes, that's just a great story.
Cool. Hey, anything else that you'd like to leave with us or listeners before we sign off?
Well, one thing, I've heard Ryan speak away from this thing we're doing right now about sales, and he truly understands it. So I love talking to other people that love sales, and I know you love sales.
Absolutely.
Okay. And I think that it's unfortunate in our industry that MSPs don't love sales. And I think that if you need to talk to somebody, you should talk to Ryan, because every time I hear him speak about this, I go, yep, love it. I love it, And when we do events, Ryan, one of the things I do, and I think you'll appreciate that, is that I'll say, okay, I want to see who my people are out there. Raise your hand if you went to the marquee to see if there's any opportunities to sell other events that are taking place at the hotel.
That's awesome.
And out of a room of like 150, 180 people, maybe 9 people will raise their hands, and I'll go, those are my people,
Heck yeah.
And I know you get that, but I really wish that our industry would love sales instead of like just shying away from it. So,
well, I appreciate that, man. And I think there's just huge opportunity out there for people that are going to work on that craft. And it's not something where it means the stigma that maybe people hear when they say it. It's more education and a transference of energy around something awesome that's going to help someone else, right?
That's it, man. That's totally it.
Well, cool. Dude, that was a blast. Thank you so much. And looking forward to the next time that we get to be together and be face to face and share a drink together.
Sounds good, Ryan. Really appreciate it.
Cool.